stuck there.
Yeah, possibly.
But yeah, still we need to run this one out. So yeah, so welcome to the Finder Co-Founder meetup. I'm founder of this meetup group. My name is Richard Jones. You can find me easily in social networks. And so probably we could start from the very beginning. We are not a lot of us here, so those who are first time probably don't know each other. So probably we could start from introduction of yourself, who you are, what I'm doing. Do you have idea or project, if any, or you're looking for challenge to join some teams? So just say a couple of words about yourself, something good.
Yeah, thanks. So, hi everyone, my name is Alexander. Some of you probably know me, some not.
Yeah.
Basically, what I do, I'm a sales and business development guy. I'm working for IT company located here in Riga. Basically, we develop all kinds of IT solutions for banking and finance industry. What I'm doing here, and if I have any ideas, well, just have some random thoughts about what startups, what startups could be done in the recruiting field, but no actual plans or concrete propositions at this time. But maybe, yeah, we can share ideas afterwards, and maybe it will be interesting to see.
Okay, well, you.
Hey.
Yeah, could you introduce us very briefly? Say name, what interesting you are doing some project or looking for opportunities to join?
Yes, I don't have any project in mind. I'm an experienced developer and ready to consider an offer.
Yes.
Software developer?
Software developer.
Okay.
Also, I can play role as play role of investor as well.
Play the role of what?
Investor?
Oh, well, that's unusual.
The-
Guy looking for a job who also has money.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah. Hi, my name is Andis, and I'm working on an innovative carbon project. And this carbon project is right in the beginning. And I'm come here to find some partners or co-founders for this
you don't
project.
need to pitch your project today.
No, I just a few hours ago thought that I need to prepare some information more for this
Okay.
project.
Right. Elon?
Okay, hello, my name is Ilona. I also will not pitch any idea. I come from academic field, so I work at University of Latvia and Riga Stradan University, and we are developing in Riga Stradan University bachelor program on startups. So that's why I'm interested in this kind of events, and what I could be looking for, maybe I could find some guest lecturer for my course in April.
What about you?
Oh, good.
I'm Lester Golden. I teach at Riga Business School. I've been developing a startup's financing and exit negotiation game that I've tried in 4 different universities, including mine. And I'm looking for a game designer and an app developer, hopefully the same person.
I'm John Grisgiel, and I'm working with several partners, including Rehards, on the Riga Innovation Campus. And I also run 2 startups. One is a water treatment company. We make machines to treat water that has been contaminated by oil and gas operations or by industrial processes. And then another is a big data company. And we are the true definition of a startup. We have a bunch of capabilities, and we're wandering around trying to find a business model. So, both the water company is coming from the U.S. It's an established company, and the big data company will actually be a real startup in Riga.
Hi, my name is Nikolai. I got 2 projects
professional, so they both are connected to IT, and they are dedicated to, one of them is dedicated to mass sport events. So we are designing a solution that can take information from pictures and can allocate each picture taken on each event, sport event or mass event, to a particular person who is related to this picture, and it's possible to, let's say, you visit some of the event, you see pictures from this event, and you can choose from the bunch of pictures the picture where you are in.
Okay. So there's a couple of new guys coming in, so let's wait for me. So guys, grab your probably first seats because
Nobody likes to
probably,
sit down front.
it's not.
He's gonna take the chair and take it somewhere else.
So we just start introductions. So probably those who came later, probably it's easier for you if you can stand up and say a few words, who you are, what you're doing, and what you're looking like for projects or looking for challenge. Just say something about you. This will help you networking probably later.
I am Dr. Esam. I'm studying in Kiev Technical University.
You all?
Yes, they are.
Come on in.
Well, come and sit down.
Yeah.
And we are team, and we have idea to do some new sessions. And
Okay. So you're studying, all you're studying in one course and
Yes.
we'll go together, yeah?
yes, we are.
Yeah, you're ready to pitching some things today, so you could say,
No, we just come and
okay,
see how.
okay. So how many of you are pitching something or telling your idea today? Except Grace, you already pitched.
Sure, I'll talk about something.
Okay, yeah, but it's like an intro, and but maybe you really pitch your idea.
Yeah, I can talk about DAX because it's
Yeah.
nice to have some feedback on that.
How many of you more have some kind of idea to pitch? Would like to tell about your idea? Lester?
Lester, yeah, you should do.
Yeah.
I can talk about it.
So, and anyone? Only two ideas? One, two. You also have some kind of project. Are you ready to talk about it later? Bit in details?
I presented myself already.
Yeah, but it's very short manner, so probably you could show some sort of.
I'm not ready for today. I just came
okay.
to investigate what's going on here and how to prepare myself better for next time.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, a couple of words about why we meet up, why we're organizing those meetups. So basically, I started this whole group because of networking. Because in Latvia, I think that there's undeveloped networking skills. So we start in groups all together, in different entrepreneurial and technology spheres. And I think this way how to improve peer-to-peer learning, promote open innovation, start up subculture thinking, share your idea and other kind of concepts. Then improve public speaking and English skills and manage technology and entrepreneurship together. So bring both founders and developers in one place. And as well as it's very important to bring this local ecosystem to kind of international recognition through the meetup.com. It's very important, I think. And yeah, that's how we build this local so-called ecosystem. And next time, don't be afraid, bring your friends, project speakers, prepare, speak yourself. It's help develop all kind of women. As I said, there's 8 different groups we are organizing now. Right now we call it Latvian Technology Entrepreneurship Meetup Network. There's a technologically oriented groups like drones, like UI UX for designers, for mobile applications, like automotive, blockchain, Bitcoin, startups, this particular group, big data and biotech. And you could easily find out those monthly meetups in meetup.com. This is probably already late schedule for February, but you could find that you're interested particular meetup, technology meetup there.
So is this is the Riga startup meetup, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We just call this event so-called Find Your Co-Founder. It's one of sort of activities because under this meetup group we're organizing different lectures and seminars and
Okay.
this is I took actually from Silicon Valley, one of the most popular groups. It's very popular there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's some sort of I learned that this concept is working very well because Silicon Valley is kind of very cultural different some sort of ecosystem, and there is one place and one time, and you could really you could find out some interesting teammates or founders, co-founders, and a lot of guys coming from Europe, for example, or vice versa.
Yeah.
that's of course the ecosystem is much larger like Latvia and Silicon Valley. I think there's average members or participants meetup group is starting from 100 and so probably
Okay.
will grow sometime a little bit bigger. Featured events is what's happening just right now. So we established this Latvian Startup Association. There was a large event in 2 hours ago in Nordic Clubhouse. So those who would like to start following some sort of startup initiatives and movements, you should check in. Start in Latvia is something. We got a new web page very soon.
Start in LV.
Start
Is
in
how you get to the
LV,
Twitter,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we will agree on one particular hashtag for all Latvian startups, which is Start in Latvia. Yeah. So this is kind of, we try to promote the same way as Stockholm did with Stockholm Tech. And the idea how it works that if you, there will be some sort of Twitter account which automatically retweet all tweets where this hashtag is found. So if a lot of people following one particular Latvian startup ecosystem account, so you easily could write down some sort of news and get some sort of couple of thousand followers probably. This is how Stockholm Tech is working. This is another interesting event going on in Health Tech. So there's a very famous Garage 438 hackathon, one of the first hardware events here in Latvia. This movement were born in Estonia, and it's very effective way how to get your team and prototype working probably in 48 hours. So I recently finished this hardware hackathon in Tartu and succeeded with team building and succeed with prototype building. So, and it's a really good experience if you are going to be a startup member or founder. Probably it's very good how to compress experience of 1 or 2 months in just 48 hours. So it's you could experience everything there. So it's really good, and it's free of charge, and there will be a lot of, as far as I know. There's 4 different categories for application, like you could apply as an ID founder or a business guy or dreaming big, let's say, category. And then there's a hardware developer, software developer category, and a designer category. And they bring some sort of a lot of technical stuff like Arduino boards, development boards, and there's a lot of hardware things which could be available in this new science center of natural science, like name is Latvia. There's a couple of
I have a question about that health tech.
yeah.
Is it kind of like what commercialization reactor did in November?
Unfortunately, I don't know what is. I don't have experience with commercialization reactors, so I can say what does it look like because I'm
I
finished.
think it's probably more interactive. You know, like
yeah.
it's a room full of people and they sort of self-organize and stuff.
Oh, yeah, probably you have the experiences.
Yeah,
with
commercialization reactor is, there's a very specific sort of method. It's more structured.
The idea is, in short words, that on Friday night, like 5 o'clock, there's 90-second speeches from founders. So you could usually there's kind of 40 pitches or something, and there should be around 20 teams. So half of them just let's say drop out or something. And the idea is that you as a founder, you pitch your idea. You'll be given some sort of a big paper sheet with your name, ideal name, and you should get your team in half an hour. So yeah, there's a mingling around those guys. So you need to attract this team somehow. If you're not, so you're disclosed from the next step, and you need to find yourself another team. And then you just start working with this team, and 48 hours, and you need to get down this kind of working prototype until Sunday night. The 3 minutes pitch or something.
Yeah, it's
It's kind of amazing.
where, Nikolai is like set technologies he wants to work on, and he's finding people that are interested in them. This is people bring ideas and they try to self-organize. It's a very chaotic exercise. So I've done several of these, and sometimes they're great, sometimes they're horrible because there's not enough guys that really show leadership. So there's a lot of milling around.
Right.
It just depends on the crowd.
So it's for founders only?
No.
No.
Founders and the guys that want to
4 categories
get
there.
experience in doing rapid development, or they want to spend a weekend with some like-minded people. So
It's something similar like Startup Weekend. The concept is very similar, but a little bit other shape probably. But yeah, it's an amazing experience. If you like to try yourself as startup founder, probably it's a good opportunity to build a team and keep your team and build the project. Product in 48 hours because there's a lot of challenges going on. You probably can see on Saturday night your team's going out from the doors, and let's say they're leaving, and you need to catch them somehow and convince to continue development. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. So a couple of featured resources. There's there's a couple of platforms for Cofounder founding or mix matching. Founder to be is one of them. There's a Co-Founders Lab. Probably this is one of the most advanced until now. So we try to build something for local Latvian market. Previously it was based on Labs of Latvia, but now they changed direction. So probably this new startup association will build some kind of internet resources like mix and match database for founders and developers. But yeah, there at least those internationals have some sort of Latvian presence also. Sponsors, yeah, I'm representing Riga University, so we are developing this technology and entrepreneurship educational courses, and one of our largest successes probably is a joint program, bachelor degree accredited program with Riga State University for startup entrepreneurship, and we will announce the next batch, next course will start on 1st September, so if you would like to see curriculum, you just need to go to Riga State University page, and there's a lot of courses like Lean Startup and those Lean Canvas and other stuff, which is not usually curriculum by higher educational institutions. Microsoft is a sponsor for our group, so you get started, so you could apply for Microsoft BSmart program if you want to have Microsoft software free of charge, and drop me an email. Altum is a Latvian state agency, funding agency, and they're providing us food and financial support. And this is one interesting platform, Labs of Latvia, also run by Altum. There's a lot of Latvian startup news. So usually the pitch format actually is like this. If you're going to prepare it for next time, it's not some sort of very strict or very standardized approach. So it's kind of free to include those all 5 topic points in your presentation. It should be with pitch deck or without any slide deck, or as you wish, as you feel better. So, but not forget to include this kind of 5 things. So, represent who you are, so that people just remember your name. Probably could help. Startup ID or name or something. How to be remembered from the company. Current status is just ID, prototype or seed. It's gives signal what stage you are and what co-founders probably join you. And what kind of co-founder you're looking for. I mean, full-time, not full-time, technical, There's a lot of this third co-founder, by the way, is quite broad. And especially for developers, this is the next question: what could you offer? Because there's a lot of pitches like I'm looking for developer, I'm looking for designer, but in order to catch really effectively the attention of those guys, you need to say what you're offering. And from my perspective, my experience, those engineers or those developers or designers, they should love your project to get to the team in some sort of co-founding early stage, because you, of course, a startup, you can't afford pay full rate for those guys in the beginning. So you need to sell idea and get to fall in love for those guys, and probably it's the only way how to get moving this very early stage. And yeah, white people should join you. So just thinking out what special this project has or something. Why we really should join, because there's there's a big shortage of technical co-founders, a big shortage of designers here in Latvia as elsewhere in the United States and everywhere, by the way. So the main goal for such kind of event probably is to find something similar with you and your co-founder, something common. Let's say some problems, some ideas, something passion, something like that. It's not like the job boardlet when you say put your advertisement. I'm looking for a co-founder, I'm offering 2,000 euros per month, so it's not going to work this way. So probably this time I will ask Greece to come on stage and say a couple of introduction words about what do you think about what's your experience with co-founding, by the way?
Okay.
And some 5-10 minutes, and probably the next part you could start your pitch with DAX.
Yeah, I can talk a
something
little
like
bit about that.
You need some sort of
I don't.
presentation.
I can do this way.
Okay.
So I've personally founded 7 spinouts from government laboratories. And so my experience is commercializing other people's ideas. I'm a firm believer that if you're the inventor, you should not run the company. It's very difficult to be the script writer for a movie and to also be the director and the producer, right? If you know anything about movie making. The Wachowski brothers, which I guess are now Wachowski sisters, they famously did a good job on one film, The Matrix. And then since then, not so good. They've not been as successful, right? They kind of lost their edge, maybe they got cocky. And I see that a lot with startup guys. They have one success, and they could never recreate it. So is that because they were lucky? You know, good timing? Like Mark Zuckerberg is not a brilliant manager, and he doesn't know how to write code. And I mean, he was just right place, right time. I famously, or infamously, refer to that as the Justin Bieber syndrome. Right? Justin Bieber is famous, and nobody understands why. I mean, he's not that cute. He doesn't sing that well. It's just good timing, right? Something about it was lucky, and you can't build a business off luck. So the rest of us have to work for a living, right? Because we're not as, we didn't have the opportunities that some of these guys had. So in terms of co-founder, one thing I'll tell you is that my experience has shown that you can have, lots of co-founders, right? But there has to be one person in charge. And there has to be one very dominant personality that has a vision that everybody believes. And it may be everybody's vision, but it's that job, that CEO's job, to keep everybody on track. And that's my job. So I'm kind of a take no prisoners. I listen very well to the other people in the company, anybody in the company. It's not, we had one of my startups, it was stupid, but we couldn't come up with a tagline, you know what I mean? Like a little saying for the company. The girl who was a temp, like temporary worker answering phones, ended up coming up with this great idea that we actually bothered to trademark. It was so good, right? So we spent money on her idea, if you think about it that way. So ideas will come from anywhere. So the issue is not taking input, but the issue is that you've got to have somebody that keeps the trains running on time. And that person is pretty rare. It has to be somebody that has experience doing something that has to do with leadership, right? It's about bringing all these disparate people together. So when I saw, Rehard's meetup title some months ago, is Find Your Co-Founder, that doesn't mean partner, right? It could mean that you're looking for a leader or you're the leader looking for people, right? Or it could just be that you've got a bunch of guys together and you don't have a leader yet. That's fine too. But I think you can't emphasize enough that successful companies have somebody who actually understands this is a business, and there has to be, we call it regimen. Regimen, is that a word? Okay, not bureaucracy, right? Method, system, not just, trying to force people to do things for no reason at all. But whether it's development, if that means checking in your code every night, documenting, every component, and that kind of stuff has to be done. And sales. Anybody ever do sales? What is the one thing sales guys hate to do?
One thing sales guys hate to do, compile their expenses into a spreadsheet.
Well, there's that, but that's part of it.
Planning, documentation,
Right, reporting, right.
Yeah.
And so we have a rule in my company is that we use Zoho CRM, customer relationship management, because it's cheap, and I know it. So if I can use it, you can use it, right? You're a new sales guy. If I can do it, you can totally go. If it's not in Zoho, it doesn't exist. So if you expect to get paid for something, commission, and it's not Zoho, then I get the commission, right? You want to motivate sales guys to document what they're doing. You say your work doesn't matter unless it's in the CRM. So that kind of regimen is necessary. It's not because I want to, file some report somewhere with the government or something. It's because otherwise we're not communicating. So, this, even a haphazard, hey, we got an idea, we're kind of moving towards this, we're not even sure how we're going to make money off this. You can still put some systems in place and document what you're doing, right? You can still meet on a regular basis, no matter what, right? You don't just wander around and let guys, who are working at night writing code, or they're welding stuff on the weekends. You have to take care of them if you're the guy in charge. You have to make them part of the team. And if you're a team member, you should expect that out of somebody. You should want to only work with somebody that has at least sufficient experience to, organize a pizza party. You know what I mean? Like the most basic stuff. There are a lot of very young entrepreneurs who get into business and they figure out that it sucks because you have to make money. I'm not kidding. They're like great ideas, but maybe they should work for a big company and do this as a hobby. And that's okay. But, in Hollywood, they say everybody's got a script. The waiter sees a producer and hands a famous movie producer a script. They're not serious about filmmaking, because if they were, they wouldn't just try to hand it to a producer at a cafe. That never works, right? You can't call up a venture capitalist unprepared and just throw ideas at them. So I had a chance meeting today with a guy that has a great idea for real estate development. I don't do real estate. I'm involved in a real estate deal, but I don't even do real estate. And he would not get to the point. He couldn't tell me who currently owned the building. Well, that's who we'd be buying it from. That's kind of basic information, So I know it seems like stupid even, but this is a guy who has a great idea and no idea about how. So if you're a creative type and you've got a bunch of ideas for a product, you need somebody to put regimen or a chief engineer. If you're a business guy, you got to hire guys who actually want to work. But that meeting of business and creativity, and I look at software developers, scientists, anybody who invents or comes up with something new, they're the creative side, right? They're the talent. You have to take care of them if you're the business side, because it's symbiotic. So I know that's kind of abstract. I don't know what Rehard's want, but how's that? What are you guys working on? There's 4 of you here. You're a team, right? Well, that's fantastic, because everybody else is looking for a team. So can I ask, you don't want to pitch your product, but what are you doing?
We wrote want to make a new startup
Yeah, a new startup to do what?
to news website. Like
News?
News portal.
So aggregator? News aggregator, meaning from all
Yes,
sources?
yes. Now we are working on this news aggregator, and we want and we will make some agreement with these aggregators, news companies.
To use their content?
Yes.
Okay, but you realize every news site is a news aggregator now, right? It used to be Google News aggregated. Now everybody aggregates everybody else's stuff, and original content is a hard thing to find. So what's your thing? Why is this interesting? It's going to be interesting to the market.
Everybody may be aggregated, but there is piracy, you know. Because piracy is important, maybe you can find this news from BBC and you copy paste to your website.
Yeah.
And it will be a problem because it's piracy.
Yeah, but you can use the first 3 lines or something, right? It's called fair use, and then it just links back to BBC. You don't even have to have permission to do that. Google does it all the time. They don't have permission. So what's your innovation? Do you know yet?
No.
Okay, then it's okay. I'm just curious, right? All right. So you're kind of a group of guys looking around for a mission, and you're interested in aggregating news to make it a better experience, or to make it more legal, or something like that. Okay. Just getting guys who are creative to explain that much, right? In Microsoft, when I was a consultant there, we would say it's a thing, all products are a thing that does something for somebody, right? That's in Microsoft Secrets from like 1995. I now say, ask 3 questions. What is it? It's a piece of software, it's a machine, it's a new kind of beer, right? What is it? How does it work? Any features and benefits? And then who cares? And that's the market. And also how you get it to them. So you've got to answer those 3 questions. You know, it's a software-based or web-based news aggregator that does what, and what kind of people will be interested. If you get those 3 questions answered, you're, you know, a long way farther than you are now. And I actually have worked with inventors, lots of scientists, and I'll ask them, well, why did you invent this? And they can't tell me. Like, what problem are they trying to solve? It's crazy. Now, they know, but sometimes they're afraid. They'll say, well, I can use it for this, and I've got these other 30 uses as well. Okay, but, you know, you got to pick something. Because I'm working with a company that out of the U.S. that has information that helps farmers figure out how to plant perfect crop spread and mix and what's going to sell. So it's got commodities and raw materials and soil type, all this, you know, it's a data problem, right? And he's got, no kidding, he's got 16 revenue streams. No investor is going to invest in 16 revenue streams. Pick a couple, right? Well, these will come on, and then we'll do this, and we'll do this, and, you know, the big revenue stream, anybody want to guess what it is? Advertising. Okay, you can always put advertising on your site, so whatever. But my point is that you really have to understand that value proposition. You have to be able to commit to it. And I think a lot of people don't want to do it. If you want to go build a news aggregator, figure out what's missing and why people might want something different. Because, you know, there's Flipboard, there's Google News, I mean, there's all this stuff out there that you know about, I'm sure, right?
Television.
What?
Also radio, television can make.
Ah, see, that's an interesting idea. You know, one of the problems that I've got with news feeders is that, like, they'll put, you know, because it's the new sport is making fun of Donald Trump. They'll say, Donald Trump said something stupid today, which is the headline every day, right? And then they just have a video. Well, I got a phone and a cellular connection. Can you give me a transcript of it? So that may be an interesting idea, right? To, I mean, run voice recognition and provide written transcripts. And then if somebody wants the video, they can click on it. See, I can do this all day. Let's just come up with feature ideas, right? You guys have been doing this, like, oh, whiteboard. We got like dumb ideas, good ideas, and really great ideas on a whiteboard. Something. And it's tough. So, what do you do during the day to make money? What is your job? Like, how do you pay the rent? Your students.
Yes, we are students.
But are any of you working too? Because a lot of times you can look at maybe if you got an internship working for a commodities house, you can see what their perspective on the news aggregator see what I'm saying? So go out there and, you know, I don't know what internships popular in this country.
Yeah, a lot of my students have that internships.
Because that, I mean, you can't get a job in the U.S. out of college without having at least an internship for 2 summers. I mean, you have to, you know, it's tough in the tech field. My company is situated near the Colorado School of Mines, and we have 30 interns every summer. We run an internship camp for middle of May, June, July, and then they're done by the middle of August. Unpaid, academically structured, work on stuff. And we get exposure to great people that way that we might want to hire in our company. That's what we get out of it. So internships are really important to figure out how you want to do it. But anyhow, so my startup about big data is simple. I've got a bunch of brilliant mathematicians who can do really tricky stuff very fast with lots of data, whether it's insurance or location-based data or ad data or something like that. And we're trying to figure out, they all work at really scary places like the NSA in the US. They've been working in the data aggregation business. And we worked together 25 years ago on my first startup when I was 25 years old. And now they're sort of retiring and they want to do something. So I've got like 6 really brilliant mathematicians, and they're kind of like a loaded gun. And they keep pointing things at me. Like, oh, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Better dating. Because they're scientists, right? They're mathematicians. So they look at me and say, what kind of data problems do you want to solve? I don't know. I'm busy running a water company. You want me to think about big data? I'm going to think about mechanical machinery and rotating machinery and things like that. So that's why I say we're wandering around. We've got capabilities, and we're wandering around trying to figure out what the business might be. Yes, sir.
A couple of years ago, I read an article that your mathematicians might find interesting. Maybe they already read it, but I haven't. Some guy did he figured out some correlations between Twitter chatter and stock prices.
Really? Okay, that's cool.
I think I might have the article from 2000.
I bet Vance, our chief mathematician, probably read it and then filed it in his head and never told me. I never heard of it.
But nobody's done it with currency markets.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea.
So since this guy, I have to look it up. I mean, I read it a couple of years ago.
Right.
Since this guy, developed a methodology for following correlations between,
If it's correlated, then you got to figure it out.
He would do word search. He would use the word search algorithm on Twitter.
Okay.
And did a quantitative weighting of different kinds of words.
Okay.
And for expressing optimism and pessimism.
Right. Okay.
And he found correlations between chatter on Twitter and the direction of stock prices.
Huh. Certain stocks or all stocks?
Indexes.
Oh, indexes. Okay.
Is he rich now?
What?
Is he rich now?
I don't know. I read the article.
The guys that come up with this stuff rarely the guys that have money. And so my guys a year ago went to a bunch of investment banks and said, hey, and I won't tell you how they were going to do it, but we've got an idea to predict earnings, like 3 or 4 days ahead of the announcement, so you can short the stock or buy, whatever, go long, go hard. And not one of the banks did. They said, when you take a couple $1 million and you prove to us it works, and we'll buy it. And they were like, if I had a couple $1 million, I wouldn't need you. Like, why would I give you that? Why would I sell it? I just go make money. So that's your point. Is he rich yet? That tells you maybe whether or not it works, but maybe he didn't have the money. I don't know.
They can do on demo accounts.
They can do what?
On
Try on
demo
demo accounts. Interactive brokers.
Yeah, right. And so we did that. We did it on futures. They did it. I watched for like 6 months, and the banks were still unimpressed because there was no real money at risk. And they said that clouds your judgment, and that you don't make perfect decisions if you have money at risk. So they wanted to see somebody else risk their money.
But if the method works,
I know.
there's no decision making.
I know.
Algo
Yeah,
is
exactly.
automated.
Yeah.
And it makes the trading.
I know. I really think that And I wasn't involved talking to the banks. I really think that they went to the banks and they looked like a bunch of smart guys with an idea. And so, by the way, this is something you should think about. When you have a great idea and you go talk to a big company, their first instinct is to hire you. Right? You're so smart, you should come to work here, build that here. Well, the value proposition for you is not the same, but that's the only thing they can do, right? They don't fund startups necessarily, or they're not good at having a collaboration with a one-person company or 6 guys in a garage. So in our water business, we've proven that we can treat water that's been contaminated by oil and gas. So you would think Exxon, Chevron, and BP were just beating out a door to us. No. You know why? It's not their supply chain yet. They've got certain resellers they work with. So I got to go impress their suppliers, right? And they can help, but this takes years to get into a big company supply chain. Now, the one separate thing that they do have, and I was talking about this earlier with Glenn, is that they have little venture capital, but they're not really venture capital. They have investment guys, innovation guys. And you might get them to invest in the company, but that's as far as they'll go. Like, they don't make the decision to buy. And the fact that Chevron invested in your company means nothing to the line managers. They're like, oh, well, whatever. So they invested in your widgets. I'm not convinced. Just because Chevron put money into it doesn't mean it's going to work. That finding those first customers to prove your thing works turns out to be really, really hard. If you've got a mass appeal thing like your news aggregator, you give it away and you have a premium model, right? And then, somebody looks at it and they say, oh, I can do better, and they beat you to the punch, and they're bigger. They Facebook you, right? Facebook killed MySpace, which was backed by one of the biggest companies in the world, and nobody understands why. I mean, I guess it was better, but not objectively better. It was cooler because it was new. I don't know. Why did Facebook win over MySpace? I bet there's got to be a paper somewhere on this, right? I've never read it. So that's why investors are hanky, right? Because just because you did everything right, everybody thinks this will sell like hotcakes. That's American expression. It'll sell like free beer. Doesn't mean it will sell. So what are you working on?
You mean the idea?
Yeah, your idea. What again was it?
Just the rough idea.
Yeah.
Just idea and the vision. So I see this problem, saw this problem, and keep seeing it today.
What's the problem?
The problem with the recruiting process for ordinary jobs, not the executive search or some professional projects.
You can afford to spend money for those.
Basically, the process is too long and outdated in my vision, because in Latvia I experienced several times. You need to prepare a CV, okay? You need to send it in. You wait for 2-3 weeks for a response. Then you get the response.
So you usually get a response within milliseconds. And thank you for your submission. We'll contact you if we want to talk to you.
Yeah. But I mean the real response, right? So then you drive there. Perhaps it's on the other end of the city. So you drive there, you speak for like 30 minutes, and they say you the same thing. Thank you, we'll confirm you, and maybe they invite you after 1 week for a second time. So I was thinking how you can shorten this process up, because now we have like this video technology and all kind of internet stuff. So to build a platform that can take over this process and narrow it to the minimum limit, like you basically have some sort of engine that aggregates data. It can aggregate data from different like social media.
That's a good idea.
It's a recruiting version of Tinder.
Maybe.
So
on each interview you are given the same questions. Who are you? What is your experience? And you can just make a video, and everyone can click. And
that's really difficult though, because I come across.
But it's a very good idea.
Yes, it could be, but it's difficult for me, for a guy like me, because I come across really arrogant in video. Do I seem arrogant to you? I'm not arrogant.
Not yet.
No.
But talking to a group of people, even 1 or 2 people, I find that people either really like me or they really dislike me, and it's very fast. And you know how I hire? I look at a bunch of CVs and I go, yeah, they're qualified. I'll meet with these 6 guys, and within the first 10 seconds of meeting somebody, I know whether or not I like them and I want to hire them. So how do you transfer? Now forget all this bullshit Google does and Microsoft does, where they ask you why manhole covers are round and all this stupid shit, right? It's based on someone's opinion of you. It's not quantitative. Now, if you can figure out how to quantify personality or culture or all these fuzzy things, that's different. But I think if you can figure out how to get to the point, here's your analogy. Dating site, there are dating sites and there are sex sites. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, he's cute, I'll sleep with him. Based on nothing else but general impression. So how do you get that quick impression?
I was thinking about it. So basically, the problem with this method, if you do everything like online, then you don't have personal touch.
Yeah.
So maybe we can integrate with some video service that can provide video interviews inside the platform without spreading your Skype details or Google Hangouts, because you might not want to do this. So in this site, you
so somebody could submit, and then you could decide if you want to look at the video.
Well, basically, yes. So you have like job seeker and employer.
Yeah.
So employer can see, well, I like to offer this person an interview.
Yeah.
You get a message. This company wants to offer an interview.
Yeah.
You say, well, okay, 7 o'clock tomorrow. At 7 o'clock, you come in, you click connect, the screen pops up, and you get a video connection with the recruiter on that side.
All right.
Everything might be saved on this platform, so you can browse the list of videos and interviews you had previously. And
this is crazy, and I ran an imaging company.
Something like this.
Those 30 interns that we hire every summer, we get about 200 applicants, and we each interview, 10 or something. I mean, it's fast, and I'm famous for interviewing 10 people in an hour. First of all, I'm not paying them, so the decision to me is not that big a deal. Can they talk and walk, and academically they come from one of the best schools in the world, and if they got in the door, I figure somebody looked at something else. So really it's like, will they fit? Okay, so for interns especially. But here's the problem. We didn't take their picture. And so when we're sitting around trying to figure out who to make offers, I'm like, remember the guy who was from Morocco, who had glasses and a bad accent, and nobody else knows who the hell I'm talking about. So that kind of automated structure might be really helpful. In the US, you have all of these worker protection laws you have to be careful of. You can't deny somebody a job based on who they are. You know what I mean? Like, it's based on qualifications. So I don't know if there is, but there may be a liability of having a video of somebody, because, then you find out that, none of the white guys were hired because the hiring manager is black and he only hires black guys.
But you can prove it.
I know, but you don't have to prove anything in America. You just have to threaten, right? So I'm just thinking as an American, I don't know what.
So you pick up my CV and I can sue you in a court, right?
You have to be careful.
Get the letter of law offices of such and such.
Yeah. I mean, I think all I'm saying is that you have to think about some of those liability issues. I don't know if they are, but it's a cool idea. Now, what's going on? Because I don't know. I don't hire off the internet anymore. I stopped. I only hire people I know. Isn't that crazy? Like, you have to know somebody, and we know lots of people. I have thousands of people that follow me on LinkedIn. So if I say I'm looking for a water chemist, I get 30 applications the next day, right? Just people sending their CVs in, and through my network. But if we posted a job, we used to go to, what was the name of the big job posting board back in the 90s that was everything?
Monster.
Monster.com, is that still around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Traded.
Okay, I see. This is, you stop looking at, like, I have no idea what happened at the end of Friends. I stopped watching the TV show Friends. So I think Monica got back together. No, Rachel and Ross got back together, but I don't know the details. So does Monster have this capability already of video interviews? If you
Not
don't know,
sure
you're not,
about-
you need to go
Not
look.
sure, yeah.
That's my point, right? You should know, you should have a list of the 30 job sites in the world that have and you should understand how the revenue models work and what features they have. Because what you're looking to do is innovate through something they've missed, right?
But in
there are-
Latvia, Monster is not popular.
Actually,
People
there
talking
are
about-
few such kind of platforms and websites already which are offering exactly the things that you mentioned before.
But that doesn't mean that there's not room for another one with special features, or like MySpace, it's just new, and so people flock to it, and you know that's why Facebook became. I don't know. You missed me saying I have no idea why Facebook is popular. I thought MySpace was fun. You know, maybe Facebook.
No, maybe there are, but I look at it this way. When I found out about Facebook, it wasn't because I was searching for Facebook on the internet. It was so spreading so rapidly that some of my friends told me, right?
Yeah.
YouTube, same way. Twitter, same way.
Yeah,
LinkedIn, same
yeah,
way.
but-
even sites like
It's not a mass product, it's about specialists.
Yeah, and that's the point. You can't count on that,
Yes.
right? The hiring managers of the HR departments. I bet you could fit all the HR managers in this country in this room or something, right? So you have to, it's a small vertical market you're going after.
Exactly.
So you have to know everything. Even if Monster is not popular in Latvia, you should sure as hell know what Monster looks like now, right? Because it's popular there. Today somebody said, well, the Latvian Facebook, and I'm like, what? What do you mean Latvian Facebook?
Draugiem.
What's it called?
Draugiem.
Yes, see, I don't speak any Latvian. I'm horrible. I can barely speak English, right? So don't hold me to. And by the way, it's not America's fault that we speak English. Blame that on the British, right? The English. But unfortunately, if you don't speak English, you'll never get out of Latvia. Unless you go to Russia.
You can go to Russia.
Yeah, great. Everybody, let's all go to Russia. Let's don't do that. So you better learn how to speak English really well. And I have 2 interns here, and when I show up, it takes them like a couple hours to catch up with me. And I'm like, we could Skype every day, and I'll help you. We could have a conversation about the weather. So maybe you need to find some Americans or English. But you've got to be able to speak English well. You're not. Do you teach that, by the way? Do you ever mention that? Does it seem offensive?
You can't get into RBS without
Knowing
being
Latvian.
fluent in English.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say Latvian. But
No.
I am not fluent
I
in
have
English,
foreign
but I
students.
graduated from Riga Business School.
yeah, well, it was good enough, right? And the thing is, it's not about working in America. It's about working the rest of the world. It's not our fault. Don't blame it on us.
Yeah, some of my students are fluent in Globish instead of English.
What's Globish?
That's the English spoken between non-native speakers.
Oh, okay. Globish. That's interesting. What do we? I spent a lot of time in Japan. I don't speak any Japanese. I just decided I'm not going to learn another language because I'm in all these different countries and I do business all over the world. So fuck it, right? I don't even care. I'm done trying to. Because for years I was like, well, I'll learn how to say I need a taxi cab in Japanese. So in Japan they call it English, and even the Japanese call it English. That's almost a racial slur. But all right, so you need to know a lot more. Great idea. But it's kind of like saying I want to write a murder mystery novel. Okay, now what? You got to figure out what exactly you're going to do.
And one more point. There are different things, if I'm not mistaken. The disadvantage of your point is that if the person will be prepared before recording the video, maybe, and they will be ready to answer, and they will try to show only the advantage side. So that's why the video will be the special features and demands the unexpected questions, and the person needs to be answered in a immediate way, and so that's why they cannot show only the good sides. And I think that it would be great because before the recording the video, maybe all things will be already written and just read and such kind of things will be happen. So this is why I need. This is my point. So.
By video, I meant live video, like GoToMeeting, like Skype chat,
Yeah.
not recording or something.
Well, but you should record it so they can refer to it. But you know,
yeah,
why not?
why not?
And
Another
you
thing
can
that
use
occurred
the
to me
main
is,
times.
that even video chat would not address that. We usually throw objects at people during interviews.
Just to see how they'll react.
Yes.
See if they can see.
Yeah, just whatever, just put it like
Okay.
in some stress.
Okay.
Like, look.
Where do you work?
IT company.
An IT company? It
Yeah.
sounds like maybe the security service.
Related to security.
Okay.
But that's mainly for salespeople.
Yeah. Well, I mean, salespeople are the ultimate whores, right? I mean, those guys. You treat them special. You know the joke about programmers? You lock them in a room and throw pizza in periodically. Sales guys, it's all about hookers and liquor, right? I mean, or whatever they need, right? You got to keep them going, and they like to hear that cash register ring. And if you get a sales guy that's selling, he will keep selling. If he's not successful, so we deliberately give new sales guys, like, if you trip over the customer, they'll buy it. Right? I mean, that easy to make the sale because they have to have that success to feel confident. I treat sales girls, sort of like, 9-year-old little girls. You can do it. I mean, you have to, sorry, it's not against women. I'm a horrible person. So what do you want to do? You mentioned you want to do something. What is it you want to do? You want to find a mission, it sounds like.
Yes, sure.
Okay. We should talk about big data. You know the thing about big data that I think is funny? Big data is like teenage sex. Everybody talks about it, but like 3 people are doing it. SAP talks about big data, and all they mean is their business analytics tools they brought out 20 years ago. Cloud services. It's a bunch of fucking machines somewhere. I mean, anyhow. So I get that. If you're not interested in big data, that's fine. I think it could be interesting. If we can come up with something that we can do faster because I got really smart mathematicians, than other people, then that might be useful. So. What was I supposed to do, Richard?
Probably English.
Am I done doing it?
It's start probably your turn.
Yeah, I can show it.
Because there's not a lot ideas tonight.
You have a USB thing? I want to see. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Richard is my bestie. Sweet startup.
Did you see the movie Big Short? Or maybe
I'm not.
There was an idea that banks
Yeah?
providing hedges for
Yeah, I know what it's about, but I haven't seen it.
yes, and some of you, not mathematicians, but directly saw that selling options, this bank took a normal distribution of probabilities based on the past. But there is not always the distribution of this probability is normal. So
Right.
it could be biased.
Right, okay.
And it was a company which shares were on a level of $40.
Uh-huh.
Then CEOs went to jail.
It's okay, I'm in no hurry.
Yeah, Lester is
All right.
really.
He was explaining to me about The Big Short, because I haven't seen the movie yet.
The Big Short?
Now,
Read the book.
okay, that'd be fine.
It will be
It's in the RBS library.
mathematician how to teach the bank
Oh, all right, cool.
or play against banks.
I would love to fuck over the banks.
Yes.
How can we do that?
Mathematician,
How can we gang up on the banks? That's what I want to know.
Promote blockchain.
Promote
Right,
blockchain.
blockchain.
Reintroduce Glass-Steagall.
Yeah, that was called it.
Put him back to 3, 3, and 3.
Yeah. I don't understand, why did Clinton do that in political points? I mean, why, because he felt like he didn't have a choice? Clinton tore down Glass-Steagall.
Because the bankers and the hedge fund managers bought Congress.
Okay.
Because we have the best elections money can buy.
All right, okay. I like you, Lester.
Another American aphorism is money is the mother's milk of politics.
Right.
And
Okay.
there's one that's even better, which is particularly appropriate this year, which is H.L. Mencken, a journalist in Baltimore 100 years ago. He said, "No man ever went broke underestimating the intelligence of the American people." Okay, anyway. Yeah, there's a little geometry problem here. It says sweet startup, cake sale game. And where this came from was, I teach an intro survey course at Riga Business School called The Firm. And it has an entrepreneurship component. And the idea is to introduce students to the, a get your hands dirty startup game, because it can't be just theory. So the assignment is, you're supposed to pitch your dream business idea. And in the third year I was at RBS, I dreamed up the idea. It shouldn't be just pitching it. You should actually do what Tina Selig does at Stanford, which is, I give you $5, you have 2 hours, start a business.
Okay.
But instead of giving students $5, I had the idea to give them a product that they could design, iterate, and I had the idea that an easy one would be cake.
Okay.
And because having been a salesman for 25 years, a major part of getting getting revenue is you got to know how to sell. And also, selling, the iterative process of selling drives the design process. It drives prototyping. And so I had the idea that students, I'm Lester Angel Capital, and I'm the angel investor, and I hand you this prototype, a cake. You decide how to sell it.
Okay.
Now, you can go find a sponsor, you can cut it up one way or the other, you can cut it up into 12 pieces, 24 pieces, 100 pieces. You can add wine, pina coladas, beer, ice cream, whatever. You figure out where to sell it, you can go get a sponsor. Students do whatever they want, but the whole idea is I divide the class into a group of teams to recreate a startup ecosystem. And then, so far I've been able to run it only in 2 rounds because of time constraints. The idea is that after the first round, the winning teams buy up the debt of the losing teams as vulture investors.
Wow.
And so the basic idea is, okay, does this thing work? No, it doesn't. It doesn't point. Oh, here it is.
Is it on? Those things have switches. I found that out the hard way. People kept helping me fix my pointer. Turned out I wasn't turning it on.
Oh.
I thought they were broken.
Okay.
Sure.
Oops. No, that didn't work. Where's the pointer?
Team Cell Cake.
Ah, there it is. Okay, so the Cell Cake is a real startup business.
So do you actually bring in cake?
Yeah, I spend my money.
That's funny that you would do that. They don't eat the profits? Because I'd want to test it personally. They don't do that? Because I totally do that. I think
Some teams do eat part of the profits, but only they eat part of the cake that they fail to sell. So
Okay.
actually, they eat their losses.
Okay.
The teams that win don't have any cake left to eat.
Okay.
But the cake is good or not so good?
I buy 4 or 5 different cakes
Okay.
and different sizes, different flavors.
Oh, really? Okay.
And the teams have to compete for, they bid on the cake
But who are they selling it to? Themselves? Each other?
anywhere they want.
So literally the street.
Yeah, I give them 2 weeks.
That's going to be some stale cake after 2 weeks.
Well, that's just the first round.
Okay.
Then they go out and they pivot, they do whatever they want. I tell them, this is the original business model.
Yeah.
Okay,
Figure it out.
you can accept my cake, or you could say, we have a different model, we don't need your capital,
Okay.
and we have a sponsor, we don't have a sponsor.
Okay.
5 out of 10 teams managed to get a sponsor.
Why would you want to take this digital? It's such a great tactile, I mean, except for reaching more people, making money.
Yeah, I will get to that.
I'm
because I
being a
think
venture capitalist. I'm interrupting the presentation and asking the end question, right? That's,
Yeah.
I was pitching somebody today and they wanted.
Why do I want to take it digital? Because I don't think the only target market, there's a market niche for this process in millions of startup employees around the world who have no idea what their shares and options are worth. And part of the game is the negotiation from one round to the next.
Okay.
Because they come back with the results and we negotiate who owns what.
I see.
And I'm Lester Angel Capital.
Yeah.
Of course, oh, you want to own 51%.
Right.
And for example, one team in the first round made 200 euros.
Really?
They got a sponsor, they pivoted to biscuits, and they went to Riga Airport and sold gift packs to the employees of Riga Airport.
Oh,
And
I love it.
in a couple of hours, they made a couple of hundred euros. And they came back and they said, well, we had some fairly tense negotiations about who owns what percentage, and the idea was, well, you have a very sustainable business model.
Yeah.
Part of the reason I developed this game was I wanted to find a student team that would actually develop a real business I could invest in.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was kind of like I'm a professor, I'm given this free option.
Okay, cool.
And so we were negotiating over, okay, you made 200 euros in one round,
Yeah.
and you have another couple of weeks
Right.
before the end of the semester. Do you want to keep it going? That was my first question.
Or do you want?
No, they said we only want to do it two rounds because we're students, we want internships. This is not our career.
Right.
And I said, well, if you make 200 the first round, you might make 300 or 400 or even more the second round. So, oh, you want to own 51%? Okay, then it's okay. In order to do that, you have to put in more capital than I do.
Yeah. Right.
And what I incorporate into the negotiation is part of experiential learning.
Right.
And let's see how to get to the next one. Whoop. I include a buy-sell option, a Texas shootout.
Okay.
Anybody not understand options?
Most people in this room probably don't understand options.
An option is a right to buy or sell something. Okay? Instead of the underlying asset, the option is
And
the
you pay
right.
premium for it.
Yeah, and you can incorporate an option into an investment agreement. And the way it works is into the investment agreement, it's kind of like a nuclear standoff or mutual assured destruction. A buy-sell option says that if one investor wants to leave the company, in other words, it's how you avoid shareholder stalemates, shareholder deadlocks. If one investor wants to leave the company and his partner says, well, I'll give you this much for the company, and it's a ridiculously low price, that lowball offer becomes the other partner's call option.
Right.
Meaning, he loses the guy who gives the lowball offer loses his half of the company to his partner for the lowball offer he made. On the other hand, if the departing partner asks for too much, he asks, oh, I won't leave for less than 100,000, and the business is only worth 20,000. The partner who asked for too much money, his too high asking price automatically becomes his partner's put option. A put option is the right to sell something. So what it means is, oh, you want 100,000? Fine. You give me 100,000 for my half.
Yeah.
The whole idea behind buy-sell options is to concentrate the minds of both partners on a fair price.
Right.
So, there are various ways to do it. You could do it in 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, sealed bids, in an envelope, or that's a Texas shootout. That's like
Never heard that expression.
What?
I've never heard that expression.
Yeah, Texas shootout is like instant. Both partners write a bid. They write their price. The highest price wins automatically, instantly.
But they have to have the capability. I mean, if they ask for 100K, they have to have the capability of paying 100K.
To say this in the local language, Tischams, Deutschland.
Okay.
Where buy-sell options are very, very dangerous to company founders when there is great inequality between the founders, or between the founders and the angel investor, or between the angel investor and the venture capitalist. Great economic inequality is, this is why venture capitalists love buy-sell options. They love to slip them into term sheets.
Okay.
And many founders don't know what the hell they mean. They don't understand options. They're not financially literate. And one of the purposes of my game is to resolve the extreme asymmetry of negotiating power between founders and employees, founders and angel investors, and less so between angel investors and venture capitalists.
Okay, so I'm not trying to make this too personal, but the only time I've ever seen this happen, because these are not common in VC deals in the US that I've done, and I've done $220 million of VC funding stuff. Nobody's ever tried to do this. It's a put and a call, and if they want to call, we always put a put, and nobody wants to do it, right? And so it gets dropped out of the deal, or the investor walks away. But there is another one. There's 3 exits for a company. You go public, right? That's the investor exit. You go public, you get bought, you go out of business. That's a viable exit for the founders. And I've actually done what I refer to as throw the keys at the investor. Right? And basically that's, here's the keys to the office, fuck you. I'm walking away. That, is the nuclear option. So the only time I've ever seen this actually happen is personal. And I threw the keys at the investor, and all of a sudden they came up with the money to keep the business going. It turned out it worked out fine. But if an investor puts a gun to your head, throw the keys at it. You can quit your own company. It's okay.
Yeah, a buy-sell option is kind of like it's a contractual throw the keys at the other side.
Yeah, right. That's really interesting that you're teaching that as part of this, because you're taking it beyond business model, product development, all the way to the forced exit.
What I'm trying to do is gamify the situation you're talking about.
Right. Okay. It's cool. Yeah.
Because you can't turn throw the keys at the investor into a game with rules.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But maybe that feature should be put in the game. You just maybe you just gave me a very creative idea.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how this thing's going to look, though. I don't know enough about games. Like, you want to put this in digital form. How the hell do you do that? This is
actually, Professor Ethan Mollick at Wharton has already done an academic version of a startup game.
Okay.
In which the students play it in an hour in class.
Okay.
His idea is not that he's not creating a smartphone app.
Right.
I'd like to turn this into a smartphone app.
Okay.
Essentially a multiplayer online role-playing game.
So it could be
I'm using the academic version I do in class as a vehicle for getting to the digitized version.
You could come up with the digital version of Monopoly, dude. I mean, this could be very.
Essentially, I'm trying to create a startup version of Monopoly.
I think it's a great idea.
And so it starts with Lester Angel Capital, who's the seed funder. I tell the students, do not lose my money. It will cost you grade points. That's the hardest currency of all for students. And the seed funder owns all the equity in the first round. And why does the seed funder, the professor, own all the equity to start? One, the professor makes the rules. It's a class. Two, the idea for the cake game is the seed funder's IP. So, the players define the operational rules of the game. I tell the players, don't ask permission from Lester Angel Capital to sell cake whole or in pieces, added value, or whether or not to add capital. The players have a choice. They can add capital. In other words, they can spend some money to add value to the cake.
But
If
does
they
that
decide.
give them, do you account for that equity?
Yeah, I count it as equity.
'Cause
So if I
obviously-
put 10 euros in a cake and they spend 12 euros,
Right,
they own 50,
2%,
yeah.
or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah, of course, they can do that and then I could raise the ante when they come back after the first round result. Essentially, they learn what a financial arms race is like.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Teams can pivot to different products, beer, pina coladas, biscuits, online delivery. One team did, they would deliver cupcakes to offices.
Oh, okay.
And sales process, sales channels. I've run the game in universities in Katowice and Stuttgart, and I've done it in the Entrepreneurship Summit in Berlin.
Oh,
I have emails from people who said, one professor in Berlin said, I never thought I could find so much joy in selling cake.
cool. Well, that's cool.
One team turned their business into an NGO. They said they were raising money for a charity for refugees. In an hour, they made 153 euros. And then this one, the lady who did it, who is a big busted fund manager from Stuttgart, said, we didn't actually need the cake. All we needed was the story.
That's interesting.
So, which was actually the most interesting pivot.
Yeah, right.
One team in
That's not necessarily a repeatable business model.
What?
That's not necessarily a repeatable business model.
You could change. You could tweak the percentage of the sales that you donate to charity.
I guess so, yeah, I guess
So, let's say Doctors Without Borders is a business.
so. Yeah, right.
Now, all the profits are poured back into the business. It
Right.
doesn't pay any dividends to shareholders.
So it's an
On the other hand, it has a certain amount of capex. It has a certain amount of promotional expenses, but it's a very sustainable business.
Yeah.
So, social entrepreneurship is part of the mix here.
I thought when you said we just needed the story, that people were going out and saying, hey, we have a bet with our professor, give me 10 euros.
No, the story was the charity.
Okay, so that's different than what
As soon as people in Berlin found out, as soon as they were told, this actually reproduces what Tina Selig found in one of her teams in Stanford,
Okay.
which was that one team set up a tire pumping service on campus, and they were charging $1 to pump up your bicycle tire. And then they changed the business model to say, we're going to donate the money to financial aid for scholarships. And people started paying $10 and $20 to pump up their tires.
Oh, that's so
They
cool.
turned their business into an NGO,
Yeah.
and in 2 hours, I forget how much they made, but it was nearly 4 figures. So, there was this social entrepreneurship pivot, which changed the character of the business. So, the teams can find sponsors, no mommies and daddies, arm's length transactions only. Me, the seed funder, Lester Angel Capital, I own 50% of the sponsored team's business in the first round. Teams may or may not need me after the first round to design and sell more cakes. One team in Berlin, there were 2 Austrians with 2 gorgeous Ukrainian girls as partners. And the girls did the selling, the Austrians, being very good at cake and dessert, they figured out that they could cut the cake, use the fruit part of the cake and the cream, and they got whiskey shot glasses. And so a €9 cake produced about 60 of these shot glasses with cake in it, and they sold it for €1 a piece, and a €9 cake became something like 51 euros
Okay.
in an hour. Again, this is agile design through selling. It's to reproduce the divergent thinking that is part of the entrepreneurial process. And the purpose of the game is to, let's say, teach no right, experiential learning, teach the thinking. There is no single right answer.
So, but do you want to make this all virtual, or do you want to just give the people instructions about how to physically recreate the cake selling game? Or both?
I want to create a digitized academic version of this, along the model of Ethan Mollick in Wharton, that could mix the tangible, tactile, physical product from which you pivot.
Okay.
But I also, what I'd like to do is create a smartphone app in which the cake is merely a point of departure for product design, and I think, given the experience I've had running the game 5 times so far, that there are ways to program into an app the scenarios of product design.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of whiteboarding based upon prior experience of running the game. I'm going to do it again in Valencia in Spain at the end of April, and in Romania in mid-May.
That's cool.
I get 2 hours.
You only get 2 hours?
Yeah, only get 2 hours because these are Erasmus exchanges, academic mobility exchanges, and so I get invited by universities to run the game.
Okay.
And I've never been able to run it for an entire week through 5 rounds.
That would be interesting. See what happens.
Yeah, I have some idea of what might happen.
I think they get bored after 3 rounds.
The teams that pivot to something that makes real money wouldn't get bored.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The idea is to have 5 or 10 teams at the same time in a crowded venue, and they pivot, and one team will think of something that is totally unique and end up buying out all the other teams and producing a winner-take-all market.
Okay.
And they come up with something that, through multiple rounds, makes 1,000 or 2,000 euros.
Okay.
Because the idea, one of the reasons I picked cake is just the law of compounding.
Yeah.
It's easy to compound profits.
That's right. Yeah.
So, the whole idea is to have the cake as a point of departure, and that it's like a jump-starting people's creative juices, because you can't start from nothing.
Right.
So, if the team didn't make enough to fund the next round, then they get no funding. No next round sales if cake isn't sold profitably enough. And then the losers get bought out by the winners, which is exactly how the real world should work. So after the first round, we invest X% to fund the next round, X% to buy whatever percentage of ownership you want. So far, I'm providing the initial IP. In other words, the concept of the cake as a business.
Right.
It's the reverse of what usually happens, where
I was going to say that. So how do you? Yeah, it's a little bit different than a startup
because the origins of the game are academic.
Right. The idea rat is drives the initial valuation.
Yeah, but when I ran the game at RBS in my course, 2 teams didn't eat my cake. They just said, "Oh, we have a better idea." So. Even though I provide the initial idea, that's no obstacle to teams doing
whatever the hell they want. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So after the first round, teams decide what percentage of profits to reinvest in the business, the CapEx, what percentage to invest in shares, and the value of each team's startup is driven by first round profits. And each team negotiates with me about who owns what. The more money they make, okay, the lower the percentage of shares I want to give up.
Right.
So in other words, it gets people into a financial arms race.
Okay. But that's not how most investments work, right? because that's usually predetermined. So if I come up with the idea and I go to you and I say I need $1 million, we're going to agree on the terms of that $1 million investment in advance.
Yeah.
And upon sale of the company, what's going to happen.
Hmm.
So that's different than this. You're negotiating based on their success, right? Or am I missing?
Yeah, based on the first round.
Yeah.
Because, it's a college course.
Okay.
So,
All right.
how would I
I don't know. Yeah.
how would I solve that problem in a smartphone app?
Yeah.
I don't know yet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You need less of a programmer, and you need somebody to work with on this that will challenge your assumptions. That will be more
Realistic.
I don't know about realistic, but
Real world.
yeah, I mean somebody that will push your ideas farther, and then you can worry about programming later, right? Because all right, so
I need somebody to kick me.
Yeah, right. So my only, and it's like I said, you can't edit your own writing. You can't, say if your own food is any good. I mean, it's only good if other people think it's good. So
Yeah, I haven't figured out what process I need to.
I don't know. I'd kick it around with somebody you trust, whose opinion you like. Not opinion necessarily, whose skill set, whose experience you like, and you kick it around with them and figure out how this thing could work. All right, now we got to do this digitally. How do we take that piece out of the real world? But writing the code is not going to happen until you figure all this stuff
Well,
out.
I pitched it a few weeks ago here to a different group,
Okay.
and a guy who David's Yebedis, I think his name is. He's an entrepreneur here. He said I should go to the Arts Academy. I don't know why he said that, and get a game designer and an app developer to just do an HTML prototype.
I guess, but it seems to me that you still got to figure out.
Yeah, just see if there's an MVP.
You can design an MVP based on this. The problem is that it may be completely different. So my CFO is doing this game. He does these multi-layer, multi-year games, the old war games like Attack Serbia during World War I or whatever. I don't know. Dungeons and Dragons kind of stuff, right? Where you roll dice and something happens. And he wants to do a digital version of that based on the Chicago mobs during Prohibition. And so I said, okay, great, go build that, and then we'll write code around it. But I don't, the guy that writes code, unless he's a game nut that understands your topic and gets it, doesn't really care about the stuff. They want to be told what to build, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you get somebody that's a magic person that really is into Chicago gangs and Prohibition, and then you can collaborate with them. But finding that turns out to be really difficult. They can write code and that cares about your topic. So I think you need to reduce it down to a set of rules, and then you need to bring in a UI UX guy, and then that
UI UX means what?
User interface, user experience. Then you'll find that they can tell a programmer what to write. But you're not even going to get an MVP until you tell them what to do. You know what I mean? Like.
So I have to whiteboard it realistically.
Yeah.
And then prototype.
What are the rules of the game? And then a really, even an average UI UX person can say, okay, that can be represented by an icon. This is going to require 2 blocks of text. I mean, that stuff, because the person that does the MVP, the coder, generally is not the best person to design the app. Like, they care about code, right? And guys that are really good at writing elegant code don't give a crap about interfaces. It's been my experience. I don't know. But
Okay.
I don't know. If you care about interfaces and you write really good tight code, you're an anomaly.
So I have to make sure first, do the rules.
Yes,
the real
I think
world.
that's how I would do it. And it also puts it all back on you, so the rest of us can go home and go, oh, when he comes back, go do some homework and then come back. It's like the VC. Like, well, go ahead and build that thing, and then you come back, and what do they say after that? Well, prove to me you can sell it. Give me some revenue. And then, it's like once you get to the point where you don't need the VC, they're willing to invest.
Well, the main motive for doing this was actually intellectual curiosity.
Yeah.
To-
But I just-
and as a teaching tool.
I looked at this guy's game, and it's like blocks of text and all this, like, oh my god. You know,
Which guy's game?
the Wharton guy. I just looked it up, and it reads like a multi-level, fantasy game, not like what I would expect to be something people would play.
But in the classroom, it works very well.
Okay, peace. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I've taught, but I still,
Yeah, it reproduces, it causes students to reproduce the chaos of a startup ecosystem
yeah.
quite well.
Okay.
So as a teaching tool, it's quite effective.
Okay.
My idea is, I already have a reasonable teaching tool because I've seen how students do it.
Yeah.
Could it be improved? Certainly.
Yeah.
I already have a game that
People play.
that entrepreneurs, professors, and students have played in Germany,
Yeah.
and I've done it in Germany so far 3 times, and they loved it.
But if your goal is to reach more people, that seems like a reasonable goal. If your goal is to make a bunch of money off a game, that's a different kind of game.
Well, my goal is both. I mean, I have no objection
You
to
can
making
make
lots of
some
money.
but you know what I mean. It's not going to be Candy Crush.
No, I don't envision it as that, but I'll get to what the end game was.
Okay.
Excuse, no pun intended.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, this is the idea of the buy-sell option, which I explained already, just to avoid this. A not very clear visual metaphor. There you go.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
So it explains the buy-sell option. And it's to avoid this. And you definitely don't want to get into that situation in a startup. So, anyway, that's the basic idea behind the game. I'd like feedback on, okay, is this doable as a smartphone app? My view of the end game was, if I can create something that startup employees find useful and addictive, then so that they can value their share options properly, then the game would be paid in startup shares by the participants. The idea is to use the game to accumulate shares in thousands of startups.
Okay.
In other words, it's not subject to FINRA, the Financial Regulatory Authority's regulations, because no money is changing hands. So if the game is paid for by the transfer of shares, now the tricky part is the institutional plumbing to actually transfer shares.
Yeah, it's too, because it's a reverse of, GoFundMe and all these other things, right? Reverse kind of idea.
Yeah.
Where those avoid shares. So they avoid the regulations around it, but they still manage to raise capital.
Yeah, I want to create a game that wants that money.
We don't want to raise capital, we want shares in your idea.
Yeah, I'm an options trader, so
Okay.
I like the idea of options, and I want thousands of startup employees all over the world to play the game and give me shares in their startup companies as payment. In other words, the option premium for playing the game would be you give up some options. I collect some of your options, and in return, you get to calculate what your shares and options are really worth. So, feedback, comments, criticisms, or is it completely mysterious?
I've done nothing but feedback, so I'm sure.
Riz, you are under no obligation to shut up.
I think it's going to be tough to convince people to give you shares in their company. But I think you have to want to reach a bunch of people as a primary goal. And then let's figure out a revenue model that works.
Yeah, I figure if I can create something that is addictive to play,
Yes.
the revenue model will
Appear
reveal itself.
Reveal itself. Right, because that's my thing about Lawrence has been hammering on me. You don't have a revenue value proposition for DAX. I'm like, that's the definition of a startup, right? According to, guys that write books about this crap.
Mhm.
Steve and what's his name? Steve and Bob, they run around saying the startup is a company looking for a sustainable revenue model. We've got a cool capability, you've got a cool thing, but I think because it's academic, you get to lose, you could set yourself up as an NGO, right? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to make money off of this. It could be straight licensing, it could be based on how often people play it. There's a lot of different ways to ladder this. So getting the infrastructure required to getting options of a bunch of multinational companies and stuff sounds way too complex for my little brain to comprehend. I mean, because the securities laws are going to vary. Do the securities laws vary between Latvia and Germany, for instance? Or are they pretty much the same?
I don't know.
Yeah, so that's
But-
the problem.
If you're approved to trade in one jurisdiction, you can trade throughout the EU.
EU, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that says something right there, right? So
So
you
you
can
have a
do it
Greek
in the
bank.
EU.
If you have a Greek banking license, for example, then
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's right. You can, yeah, that's right. Then you can spread joy all over the EU if you're a Greek bank.
that's another conversation.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm interested in what you're doing. I'm happy to try to help you think about it. If this is about finding your, I don't want to be a co-founder, but, because I think it's cool. So I'll help you.
that's
Yeah.
appreciated.
Cool.
Essentially, I need somebody to kick my brain repeatedly.
This is a nice academic thing to think about. So.
Yeah, because I'm my motive more than anything. I mean, I'm 61. It's not like and I don't particularly need to make tons of money. On the other hand, I'm really curious about developing this teaching tool and this tool to solve this problem of, my curiosity is there a tool that is easy to use that can redress the incredible asymmetry of negotiating power between the different players in this
I think it's an
ecosystem?
interesting idea. So I think your goal personally should be to reach a lot of people, and you're essentially playing your game yourself, right? So
Yeah, because I've had some bad negotiations.
yeah, but see,
Asymmetrical
you're doing
negotiations
that.
too.
You're doing that with yourself over this product, and maybe the end result for you is that you get some fame and some fortune, and part of the fame is you get to write a paper that shows it at Harvard Business Review. Right? That might in itself bring lots of money. So
Perhaps.
the cake game guy. I don't know. I just think that there's some variables.
I just know that every time I go to do it in a university, I have an enormous amount of fun, learn a tremendous amount,
Yeah.
meet fabulously smart people,
Right.
and being an academic tourist is just enormous fun.
Yeah, that's true.
So, this came out of that. It came out of an entrepreneurship education course I took in Tel Aviv with Connect.eu.
Oh, yeah.
Leora Katzenstein
Okay.
she's the founder of the Israeli, the Institute for the Study of Entrepreneurship and Management and Innovation in Tel Aviv. And she gave me a scholarship to this course. She was somebody I knew because she came to visit here. And at the end of the course, I was talking about what I learned, and I talked about buy-sell options and negotiation. And this German guy who was in the course came up to me and he said, I have a business simulation game company we should talk. And we started talking, and he invited me to Stuttgart.
That's cool.
And then he invited me to the Entrepreneurship Summit. So far we've been to 3 events together where I've been playing this game. So,
Very good.
Anyway, thank you very much.
So, any projects to be pitched yet? This is not anymore. So if not, so probably I get an opportunity to repitch my own project probably, and there's a couple of UI UX slides, which I could call mock-ups probably to help to develop your vision how you should look in ways, put on paper your idea for designers in order to get understanding so what you really need to build. So yeah, this is my startup idea or team, which is called Pilot Automotive Labs, and we're about building self-driving plugin for any cars. So there's a couple of nice pictures. This is actually investor presentation for seed forum format last week in Riga. So it's some sort of both investors questions included, and some strange Scandinavian template for pitching bankers or something like that. It's not typically American style venture capitalist pitch deck, so there's a couple of strange slides on Citro. So yeah, self-driving cars are cool, but they are safer. They could save 1.2 million global traffic deaths every year, and this is because of distracted driving. This is a growing problem. There's a couple of solutions on the market only now who is dealing with that. I mean, in terms of self-driving cars, and those solutions are quite costly because one of the possibility to buy a Tesla Model S, price is 72,000, so it's pretty high, and there's only 70,000 cars in the market now. Second possibility is a Google car or Apple car, but they are not market ready, and we don't know what exactly price for them. So, but on the other hand, there are 1.2 billion vehicles on the roads, including your cars. Your car, and we are dealing with that. So we would like to turn those cars smarter. We add in to existing cars so-called self-driving plugin, and this plugin consists of 2 parts. One is the hardware stuff, which is actually is mounted on your car roof, and the second is tablets application. And this is some sort of preliminary designs. So yeah. This roof box is designed by me, so it's please don't laugh at that, because we don't have a very good designer until now. And the self-driving application design also made by me, and it's made in PowerPoint. So
it shows you what you can do for prototyping.
Yeah, I could show you a little bit more slides how they look like. So this is a real hardware prototype, a very early one. This is also built in PowerPoint. I found out there's a very interesting feature of 3D, so I'm really modeling in PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Different layers, so it's kind of scary for me, because this I made in some sort of Autodesk or some 3D modeling software.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So yeah, this is some sort of show up what ultrasonic sensors are doing from this rooftop box. And this is probably interesting part for Lester's questions about your UI UX. So there's both parts. UI is the user interface, UX is user experience. And actually, when I started building such kind of thing, I started asking myself a question: what should self-driving car user experience look like? And the only known example is Tesla Model S, but it's not a fully automated driven car. So it's some sort of semi-autonomous, and nobody knows how Google Cupcake car look like inside in terms of user interface. So I started thinking about this user experience myself. I sit down in the driver's seat, and so what should I see in this tablet? And there's a couple of ideas how it should look like. This is based on Android. As you see, there is very home screen of Android application, Pilot mobile application app. This is welcome screen, which is actually pop out when you press this application icon. first experience this application asks about your car, what car, what make, what's model, what's the year. If it's not recognized automatically through this connection, which is actually necessary, then this is actually the idea how to monetize from the very beginning, because you could launch this application very early, free of charge, and the only thing how to prove this is some sort of MVP or customer traction that the customers should, only thing that they need to do in a very early stage is push this pre-order button and get this pre-order page and pay some sort of pre-order money. This is the main target for this application, by the way. But there's two other buttons. One is that you should connect to your roof module, which you should buy. This is quite similar like the Apple Watch is working, because it's a nice application button for every iOS application for iOS Watch, Apple Watch, but you don't have that. But you have this button, so the same here. In demo mode, which is actually something similar like here. Yeah, this is made in PowerPoint, I think. So there's the navigation buttons on the bottom of the application, and there's some sort of home screen, and I just start thinking of what kind of information the driver should have. And there's a drive mode, which is follow or autopilot mode, which you could switch on or off. There's active road signs, which is recognized by the rooftop camera. And there's steering, braking, acceleration information, and speed. Probably there's no more information necessary for the screen. And of course you'll see the other cars and lanes in real time when you drive. This is the most important feature for an early stage application. It means if you don't have implemented the drive-by-wire system in your car, this is actually the main screen about an emergency alert screen, which is alerting you about proximity warnings, about pedestrians, about something that's going wrong. And this is actually could help your distracted driving. It means if you're playing with your mobile phone, this application should make some sort of noise or audible some sort of noise and signal, and then start blinking. This is what to miss Tesla Model S, because Tesla Model S you can program to drive to an exact location. If you get an autonomous car, so probably you need point A and point B. The Tesla Model S now only is some sort of advanced cruise control, something like that. You could switch on this autopilot in the middle of the highway, and it's actually don't know where you're driving to. So it's I think main problem now until now for the Tesla. So I mean, you put this screen that you could program like a navigation application, some sort of target, and this is autopilot on signs. And you see this green sign on top of that target. What is destination? What is your distance? What is time for arrival? And there's interesting points like driving profile, mild or sport, because driving habits for every car is different. So you see that every self-driving car is getting to traffic accidents because they are driving too slow and they're not like ordinary drivers. They are too right, let's say.
Old ladies.
Yeah, exactly. So this is second screen like dashboard. It's quite a lot of information, and it's not very new. There's a lot of applications in the market which is show your data of your car in a different way. This is parking screen for auto parking. This is also probably not very new for ADAS system for new cars. This is navigation screen. This is front view screen. You could connect your cameras, which is on top. Rear view screen, left, right. And this is setting screen. Probably this is most interesting when you start thinking about what do you would like to ask from application developers or designers, what information you really need to have there. So I started some kind of mock-ups, and I just started to put things on which could be important for me, which could drive some sort of self-driving application car. Roof model configuration, so it automatically detects what kind of systems this particular your model have, like radar, front cam, rear cam, CAN bus, optionally LiDAR, and important fact that for self-driving cars, road rules, by the way, because it's, I don't know what kind of software use, in this case Tesla, because road rules in the USA, US and Europe are quite different. Let's say those crossing rules, let's say, turn right-hand rules are different in the US, like in California.
They're different town to town and state to state too. Right on red will vary.
Yeah.
So.
In California it's legal, in other states it's not.
Yeah, Manhattan, downtown New York famously,
Okay.
I know this from getting a ticket.
Oh, okay.
Right on red is just illegal. In Texas, U-turns are illegal unless it says it's legal. All U-turns in the entire state.
Okay. Yeah. So that's. I mean, this application should know what is your geographic location.
That's illegal.
You are and use appropriate rules. There's a couple of drive-by-wire settings, so it's connected to your car and see what kind of systems is available, like steer by brake or accelerate by wire. And this is driving settings. In driver, this is artificial network, which is on top of those cars with 3D maps and artificial driving model on that. And there's two interesting options. I figured out that you can choose teacher or student drive mode, and it means that if you're a teacher,